Hey guys, Simon the Bookbinder here. This is some rough footage of a bookbinding demonstration I did this weekend at the Lost Trades Fair. In the demonstration, I make a very simple section sewn book from start to finish, but I take most of the components pre-cut and ready to go so that I can get to an end result within about an hour. Please note this video is not intended to be a tutorial, it's just an overview of the different stages and basics of creating a book. I will be uploading some tutorials in the coming weeks, so subscribe if you're interested in learning more about bookbinding. Lower than that. First up this morning, but
I know, because you don't want to, exactly.
So they're ones I've made in previous fairs, like last year. Yeah, absolutely. I just thought I'd give you the heads up.
Yeah, thank you.
That's this sort of stuff. Definitely a lost art.
Yeah.
What held you? Mining books.
And just get straight. It's the doing that people.
Yeah, because they do this little bit.
Okay. Morning.
Someone gave it to us last year. Father or grandfather had made it. Yeah.
Oh, you give it up. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you've given them pride of
Yep. Lots of different people get books bound. Like it's the full-time job.
You make it have got it as a full-time job.
Yep.
Wow, that's fantastic, isn't
I've
it?
got a wife who has expensive taste, and I've got 3 kids and a mortgage and everything else. So
She's still making a living.
Yeah.
She's still got her expensive taste.
it's kind of diminished a little bit. So.
What was that? I can't hear it from here, which is not a good thing.
Oh well, he can let us all know.
already started this demonstration. I've sewn and glued the pages together, and then in the vise over there I've rounded and backed the book so you can see the shape in the spine. And now what I'm doing is what's called forwarding, so layers of glue and strengthening material. So at the moment I'm just going to put this calico that I've just glued out onto the back of the book. So the whole process today will take about an hour, and I'm probably about 20 minutes in. What I'm going to make is something like that, which is called a half leather binding, leather spine and leather corners. Next I'll just put a layer of glue on the back of the book. On the fence. And I'm just going to stick a layer of craft paper over the top of that. Over. That excess. What I'm going to start doing now is actually creating the cover. So for those of you who have just joined, I'm making one of these journals here, which we call a half leather binding, leather spine, leather corners. Previously I sewed and glued the book block, and then I rounded the back of the book with the hammer and backing boards in the vise over here. So now I'm up to creating the cover. The cover that I'm going to make on this one will be a blue leather spine, and then these marble papers on the sides. I've prepared, so this is my spine piece that I prepared before coming here today. So those strips of leather form the raised bands that you can see along the spine there. So just by doing that and using this tool here, which is called band nippers, we get the raised band look, which I'll get to. First thing, what I need to do is just trim this, because you can see that that spine piece is wider than the book. So I'm just going to wrap that around the back of the book. And then I'll cut. Just double check to make sure that's the right width. So if I've cut and stuck the craft paper on properly, then that's all I need to measure. And you can see there it's a really nice fit. So from here, alright, so thin layer of glue. The glue that I use is EVA, so it's an archival version of PVA. Dries clear, very easy to use. I get a nice joint. Press. sitting on the front and back of the book block. And I'm just putting them into the position where I want them bound, keeping an eye on these margins around the edges being even. And I'm going to place it into the finishing press. Is that my coffee? Yep. Yum. Then from here, I'll take the book out of the cover, and just by using that press and the book block in the middle, that's determined for me the gap that I'll need between the spine piece and the boards. So then I'll glue this one out. Place that into the middle. Put it back into the, put the book back into the cover, wrap the cover around the book, back into the press. And now what I can do, drop all my tools everywhere, using the band nippers, work the leather around those raised bands. Alright, so now you can see our book's starting to come along. We've got our book block made, we've got our cover coming together. What I want to do now is cut my papers to fit the sides and stick them on. So I can remove the book block. The papers I'm putting on this journal are these blue marble papers. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm just going to place them carefully over the top. And fold them back so that I can trim them. Again, thin layer of glue onto the paper. And very carefully, I'll place that over the top. So there you can see. And I'll actually use my Teflon folder just to get some of those creases out. So I'll just repeat the same on the other side now. Just stick the marble paper on this side. Actually, I might just square that up a little bit. Just neaten it up. So the paper goes over the leather just by a mil or two. It's not the other way. For some reason, we all seem to think it's the opposite. Around the wheel. So I'm going to heat that up and I'm just going to run that along the edge where the paper and the leather meet, just to give it a little bit of finishing detail. So I'll just heat that up. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I just want to neaten this up. I want to square it out because you will notice that once the end papers have been glued onto the cover. So just with a ruler and knife, so at the moment the cover is quite flat, but my book is quite round. So what I want to do is just get a little bit of shape into the spine so that it really hugs the book. And the easiest way that I find is just by putting this piece of dowel into my book press. And just rounding the spine of the book. I'm not gonna pull it apart, it's not gonna break. And now that cover, you can see just by doing that, that's really shaped the spine. And when I sit the book into the cover, it will nicely go around the spine of the book. When I case the book in, I'm going to use these pressing boards. So it's just plywood and it's got this steel edge attached on the side. And I'm going to use the book press. And that steel edge is going to press into that groove there and then create a hinge for the book to actually open the way it should. So I'll just put those in the press. First of all, I just want to place the book into the cover. So this is what we call casing in. And I'm just checking what sort of margins I've got to work with. And by that I mean the squares or the verandas around the entire book. Because what I need to do is I need to carefully place that on that once I've glued it out. So I'm just going to put a bit of waste paper under the end paper. Thin layer of glue again. I'm also just going to put a layer of glue on that joint there because I want that leather to stick right in there. I'll remove that and then very carefully I'm going to place that end paper. That's why I was looking at the margins before, just before I started gluing, so I could see where I had to place this first end paper. Carefully place the book down on top. Another bit of waste paper on under the back end paper. Glue that out. Now hopefully this will all go to plan. So I'll take that out. I'm just going to check for any creasing, which is a little bit off there. That's okay. Check the back side. Just going to go over those raised bands one more time. Just to really sharpen it up. And I will put it back in briefly. So normally I would do this part of the process before I put the cover around the book, but I forgot to turn it on. Open the book up, so that's quite warm now. Very carefully, so for those of you who missed it before, this is called a decorative roll. It's got a pattern around the wheel there, and I'm just going to press that in and run that along the leather where the paper, the edge where the leather and the paper meet. Not quite hot enough, but and last thing I want to do is just put one of our book plates inside. And you can see there, that's the finished result. So that's what we call a half leather. So that detail is just along there. The roll could have still been a little bit hotter, but you can come up closer if you want. I'm not going to attack you. So that's just, it's called blind tooling. So that's just a little bit of finishing detail. Without it, it looks quite plain. No problem.
Thank you.
No worries. Sure thing. Look at it. Yeah, of course you can.